What's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of Sports and Seltzer. We got myself, Ross, and Tyler. How you doing, Tyler?
What's going on?
All right, you ready to pick the Super Bowl today? How you feeling about it?
Yes, sir. So this is not Super Bowl that me or you either expected. Definitely both thought the Ravens were going to be in it.
I did change my pick, though, to be fair, at the very last minute.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
I
So
changed
you
it, though. I
changed
did
it.
change it. I did think it was Ravens-Niners for a while. I
Yeah.
did.
So I'll start off with my pick is going to be the Niners. I think they're definitely the more stacked on paper team. The Chiefs somehow got here, even with that receiving core that I thought for sure was going to be the downfall of them. But somehow Patrick Mahomes keeps finding a way. The storyline with this, I know it keeps getting a lot of hate for this, but the truth is this is probably going to be the best quarterback in the history of the league going against Mr. Irrelevant. So that's a good storyline, yeah, but I just think it would have been better with the Ravens. It would have been a more stacked, Super Bowl.
Are you talking kind of like roster versus roster, just full
roster versus roster? Yeah, I mean, I think on paper those are the two best rosters in the league.
Yeah.
But Lamar is gonna Lamar, I guess.
Playoff Lamar.
To Raymond, yeah, Lamar is trash. Anyways, so I think the Chiefs, their defense is going to be pretty. Obviously, their defense is stacked, but everything that the Chiefs do good, the Niners are great against it. So, like as they're rated high of putting pressure on the QB. Brock is a top-rated QB against the pressure. The Chiefs are a big man team, a man coverage team. And Brock Purdy is rated really high against man coverage. And so I think, with the rematch basically from a few years ago, the difference maker being Brock Purdy instead of Jimmy G, which to me is going to be an
big
upgrade.
difference.
I think Brock Purdy gets a lot of hate for ever since Brock Purdy has played. I've always thought he was a system QB as well. And then after this year, I was actually realizing how he is way better than I thought. I think obviously the system does play a part in it, especially with, who has a better team on paper than the Niners,
Yeah.
But Brock Purdy has been really good. So I definitely think the Niners are going to take it. I hope they don't, just for the sake of being a Cowboys fan and living out here. But I think the Niners are going to take it. They're going to get their sixth ring. All the drama with the false fire alarm, them practicing on the grass, the UNLV.
Oh my God! Yeah.
It feels like a sponge or whatever they said. That is pretty crazy that's happening for the Super Bowl. I just think the Niners are still going to find a way. And who knows, maybe that's going to even light a fire under them too. Maybe it'll pump them up more and they'll play harder. But I think Patrick Mahomes took this team way further than people thought.
Definitely.
It's impressive what he did. If he can pull out the Super Bowl, that'd be even more impressive. But I just don't see it happening. I think the Niners are going to take it.
What do you got the score being? Niners are favored by 1.5, by the way.
Oh, it's a blowout. I'm going to say the Niners are going to win. I think the Niners are going to win 34-31. I think it's going to be a close game.
High-scoring game, too. Close, high-scoring game?
Close, high-scoring game.
All right. Well, a couple things about what you talked about. I agree with you totally on the Brock Purdy thing. I thought he was a system quarterback because we've seen some quarterbacks go in Kyle Shanahan's system. They fit pretty well. So seeing Brock Purdy last year, I didn't think it would be – he just seemed like a system quarterback. I think for me it mainly changed, honestly, just the playoff run. What he did, too, against Detroit to come back from 24-7, that is not and what he was doing was different than what that system was. The system does not ask him to run the ball when he was getting those clutch runs for what, like 10 to 15 yards,
Yeah, he
getting
had
those
a
first
couple
downs running
of
the ball.
well, really, those were game-changing runs too. Those,
Yeah,
I mean, if he wouldn't have made those runs, then that would have been possibly the game.
exactly. And that's not part of the plan. That's
Yeah,
not part of the system.
yeah,
That's something Jimmy G could not do. And whether it's Brock Purdy just being a little bit quicker than him, whatever, more IQ, he definitely showed me he's not a system quarterback. Um, so we talked about it. I did switch my pick. I picked the Chiefs to beat the Ravens. I had the Ravens versus Niners in the Super Bowl with the 49ers winning. I'm switching my pick. Um, it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs to me. I feel
I
like I
could see
have to
it.
stick with them.
Yeah,
I
I could
have
see
to.
it. Yeah,
And it's honestly kind of like when I picked the Chiefs over the Ravens. There's no good reason to pick the Chiefs other than Patrick Mahomes.
other than Patrick
That's the
Mahomes, that's
main
the only
reason.
thing. Yeah,
That because you looked at the roster for the Ravens and the Chiefs, Ravens had the way better roster. It's not even close. Even Zay Flowers to me is better than Rasheed Rice, in my opinion. I think Zay Flowers is really good.
yeah,
Lamar Jackson is a stud, but the defense for Baltimore just attacks and attacks. So I thought maybe Mahomes would have a bad time, but Patrick Mahomes makes me pick him. So I'm going to stick with the Chiefs on this too. I agree with you. I think it will be a close game. I don't see it being too high scoring, kind of like the Baltimore and Kansas City game. I think it'll be a little bit closer. The thing that concerns me with the 49ers, if you go down 24-7 to the Chiefs, you are not coming back. I
yeah.
don't see any hope. If you could do that against the Lions, as mean as that is to say, the Lions weren't prepared for that. Dan Campbell liked to take those risks, right? And it just did not pay off in the end for him. I think Andy Reid wouldn't allow that to happen. I don't think Patrick Mahomes will allow that to happen. I don't
I
think
think
Steve
Andy Reid
Spagnuolo,
takes the points when he
he would
should.
take the points.
Yeah,
Oh,
when
yeah,
he
for
should have.
sure.
Make the
And
three
I think
possession
Steve
game.
Spagnuolo also would not like play a softer defense. I think he would still attack. I don't think he would not give up, but I don't think he would play a soft zone. Even if they have a huge lead, Steve Spagnuolo loves the blitz. He's going to play that man, like you said. Niners are good against the man, though. So I think the experience is going to be big. I think Patrick Mahomes having more experience than Brock Purdy in this situation. If the 49ers win, if they do, McCaffrey's going to have over 150 yards. And I mean probably receiving and rushing combined, but he's going to have a huge game. And honestly, I think he would be the MVP if the 49ers win. For Kansas City, I think Mahomes would win MVP because I think it
I
would
don't think
just
there's
come
any
down to
other
him.
person that could possibly. If the Chiefs are winning, it has to be from
Yeah.
Patrick. Who else could even carry that team to win?
The only crazy situation I could see is Chris Jones. If he
Chris
just
Jones,
goes
yeah,
nuts on the
yeah,
D line and causes havoc, and let's say he forces a fumble on Brock Purdy, right? Recovers it, just something crazy. But you're
Which,
right.
to
I
be
don't see
fair,
that
I mean,
happening.
Chris Jones was a difference maker when he sat out. In the beginning of the year, the
Yeah.
Chiefs didn't look the same on the defensive side, and then as soon as he came back, that's when they just blew up again.
Yeah, he's the heart of that defense.
Yeah,
And so I guess he could win MVP. I don't see Travis Kelsey winning MVP because someone has to throw it to him. I feel like it's really hard for wide receivers and tight ends to
yeah.
win MVP.
If Travis Kelsey won MVP, it's because Mahomes is throwing it to him nonstop, or those little shovel passes that they have.
Yeah.
But that would be tough for Kelsey to win.
Some crazy yards after catch, right?
Yeah,
Like he'd have to catch it and just run himself 50 yards, which I don't think Travis Kelsey can do anymore.
yeah,
I don't think he can explode like that. Um, so I am going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to pick the Chiefs to win 21-17. I think it'll be lower scoring. I think it will be a close game. And honestly, that is what I'm hoping for in the end. I'm a Dolphins fan. To
yeah. I
me,
hope
it's
it's a
not going
good
to make
game.
any difference. I don't want to blow out. That's the main thing for me.
Mhm. Yeah.
If you do you see any? Okay, wait. This is the question I wanted to ask you. Kadarius Toney, he's back. Is
Yeah.
he going to be on the field in uniform? Because supposedly he's at the practices again. He's out there, and will that change even the chemistry if they play him, or should they play him? Because I think it was last year's Super Bowl he made a big impact, right? and he did really
He made
well.
he got a touchdown, yeah.
So
and
do
Sky
they
Moore
play him
ran
and risk it because
exactly.
it's the Super Bowl, or do you sit him because it's been working?
So my honest opinion with it, I typically don't like Tony at all, but I think they have to play him because of when he has the ball in his hands. I don't think they need to throw it to him because I mean he has a couple of crazy drops, but
A couple.
yeah, I mean a few wide receiver screens maybe just to get the ball in his hands and change the pace of the offense. They don't have another ball carrier that is like that, you know. So I think, yeah, it's been working, but I mean, do you put one of your playmakers? I mean, do you call him a playmaker though? It's tough. That's an interesting question, just because yeah, when the ball is in his hands, he's quick. You know, he
If
is
he
a
catches the ball, he could be an X
yeah,
factor,
but
right?
it's a risk to have
But
him on
is he
the
going to
field.
catch it?
And then also, I mean, obviously we don't know their locker room, but if he is, you know, like I don't know, but if he is like a negative impact in the locker room, absolutely not. Don't play him.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do
And
you?
I'm kind of with you on it because he could make a huge impact,
Yep.
or he could totally suck the energy out of the team and the whole chemistry.
Yeah.
And if I'm
And
Mahomes,
especially if
and
he has
let's
to
say you
drop.
throw it to him twice and he drops 2 balls, that morale, like that is just going to be like, why
Dude,
is he out here?
I
Why?
honestly think he should be on a short leash to where if he has one drop,
One drop.
I think he should
Yeah.
be kind of cut from the playbook.
Yes. If he does play, they need to set up wide receiver screens for him off the bat. So he can catch
Just
the
touch
ball,
passes.
go
Yeah.
for run, try to get his confidence up. I think no matter what, you have him in uniform.
Yeah.
Because if something happens and he does need to go out there, you do want someone decent that's a backup that you can throw into the game. And I know he drops the balls and stuff, but he's probably better than most of the backups they have. I don't know who their backups are, but let's say, and we don't want any injury, but let's say someone gets hurt.
I mean, what's
And
crazy is look at the wide receiver room, anyways. I mean, he should be a starter. You
MVS
know?
is like
Yeah.
the
I
number
mean,
2.
yeah, that's not a good receiving room. So he should be a good weapon for the Chiefs. I mean, same with
Yeah.
Sky Moore, you know, but
Man, I thought he was going to do so much more this year now that you bring
so
up
did
that
I.
name.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I remember in fantasy football, I was like, oh, he's going to be a breakout this year. They
Yeah.
got nobody.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. That didn't work out either. Um, but yeah, so I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he just keeps finding a way with all these, you know, receivers that you would think would be good, but
Yeah.
it's weird. I think Rashee Rice has a future, but Tony, MVS, I mean, there's Sky Moore, you know, just what letdowns they have been.
Yeah, if I'm the Chiefs, you try to get a wide receiver 1 or 2 in the offseason. You try to get one more
Yeah,
weapon because Rashee Rice definitely is a 1 or 2. He's a really
yeah,
solid player.
yep,
I think one guy we didn't really mention too that could have a huge impact is Pacheco. After watching how Detroit ran the ball on San Francisco, and I know Detroit's like a top running team though. Their O line is just insane. But I know Pacheco runs hard. I know he's going to give it his all every play,
yeah.
especially this
All
in
the
the Super
memes with
Bowl.
Pacheco, I mean, he runs like like it's his last run of his life. It's crazy how
Yes.
hard he runs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what Dallas needs, huh? So-
Yeah. Oh my God, I wish. Yeah,
we don't got to get into that right now, but
it'll be a long episode.
I know this game too. Uh, I thought it was interesting that it's on Nickelodeon. Is this the first Super Bowl on Nickelodeon? I just thought
Yeah,
that was
they have
super
a
random.
Nickelodeon stream also. It's yeah. I don't
There's
think
going to
I'll
be
watch
slime.
that, but
All right, so you got the 49ers. I got the Kansas City Chiefs.
and then
Yeah, go ahead.
well, here you go ahead first. Go ahead.
I was going to say if there's one more X factor that you feel like is just someone that could break out the game, who do you think it would be for the 49ers?
For the 49ers.
Without being McCaffrey, because he's probably not. Would he be an
No,
X
not
factor? No, because he's
no.
like a superstar.
Well,
So
I mean, he can be an X Factor, but I mean, everyone expects him to do
we
it.
expect him. Yeah.
You know, for for the Niners, I mean, I think Jawan Jennings can make a difference. I think
Yeah.
him and obviously Juice could make a difference. And then, but really, I think Nick Bosa and that D line, um, that can be a key factor in the game. If they can
Yeah.
get to Mahomes, I mean, without Mahomes, what are the Chiefs? Honestly,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
think that can be a key factor. I think Mr. False Start on the Chiefs could be an X
Jawan
factor.
Taylor.
Yep, if he can be an X
Man,
factor, he can be
he's
an
a
X
stud.
factor.
He just needs to not move before the play
Well,
goes.
I mean, Mr. False Start, he's going to need to false start a few times going against that D line. But
Yeah.
uh, I think also for the Chiefs, though, L'Jarius Sneed can be a huge X
He's
factor for the
a stud.
Chiefs. Yeah,
He's a stud.
if he's going to eliminate, one player on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, I don't know. I think it's tough because the Niners also do have about a billion superstars on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but if Snead can at least eliminate one, that's going to be a huge help.
Yeah. As crazy as it sounds, I feel like too, like at least one of the X factors when I look at this game are Kyle Shanahan and Andy Reid. Because I feel like the play
That'd be a
calling,
test match, yeah.
that head coach matchup is just
Well,
I think it's gonna be fun to watch, honestly.
even with Wilkes and Spags, I think is going to be
God. Yeah.
It's just I think the whole coaching staff, I think this whole game is going to be a chess match. I think the Chiefs have to play a pretty perfect game in order to beat the Niners.
Mahomes, I agree. Mahomes needs to keep doing what he's doing. He's had 0 turnovers this postseason. He needs to keep that up.
Oh, knock on wood. Yes.
Because I know, knock on wood,
Yeah.
he needs to keep that up because, like you said, for them to play perfect, that involves him not turning the ball over. As much as we talk about the drops, he needs to keep the ball safe. You look at that Baltimore and Chiefs game, that one fumble Lamar had was huge. That one turnover.
Yep.
And so he can't afford to do that against the 49ers because they'll jump on that.
Yeah. So real quick before we end on the Super Bowl, tell me which game was the biggest surprise out of the championship, the NFC and AFC championship? Was the Chiefs the bigger surprise or the Niners pulling out the Lions?
I'm actually going to say, well, both the teams I picked won, but I feel like the surprise, I'm going to actually have to go with the. So it's a trick question to me because I want to say Niners Lions, and I want to say that because it was 24-7 and they came back. Now, winning wise, I think the Chiefs beating Baltimore is the more of the surprise. But if I'm looking at the whole game and how the game played out, I got to say the 49ers Lions was a surprise because to be down 24-7, a lot of the times that should end the game, right? You should be in firm control. You should you shouldn't be making some play calls that are being made. Even the drops, there were drops that were being made too. So I'm going to say the 49ers and Lions if we're basing it off of watching the games, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would agree. I think definitely the Lions blowing that game was the biggest surprise to me, especially considering, I mean, the first or during halftime, I thought the game was done.
Same here, man.
Especially when we could have taken that field goal, I was thinking the game was probably done if they take it. The other thing with it is they also, even though they, went for it on fourth when they obviously shouldn't have, Josh Reynolds still dropped the pass. He did have it, but Josh Reynolds still dropped it.
The 4th and 2, right? It was a 4th and 2, and he was wide open.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't remember if he was wide open or not, but
it went in his hands.
It was right in his hands. It bounced right off. So I would say the Lions blowing that game was. I definitely think the Ravens should be up there with quite a big playoff collapse too, though.
That is, yeah.
With that roster, they definitely should have been there too. But yeah, I would agree with you. I think the Lions blowing that game was a bigger factor.
And for they ask that question a lot too, like when you watch the sports shows and all that. After that game, like, did the Lions blow it or did the 49ers take it, right?
I
And to
mean,
me, I feel like it has to be both when you
they
ask
have
that
to be
question.
both because the Lions collapsed in the second half, but the
Gibbs
Niners,
fumbled.
oh my gosh. Yeah, the Gibbs
Yeah.
fumble with the momentum already going towards the
Mhm.
Niners' way, and then throw that on top of it. I mean,
Yes.
I think it's both.
And
The
then because
Niners came
Brock
back,
Purdy
the
did
Lions
take it
collapsed.
too.
Yeah,
He did.
yeah,
Brock Purdy went
absolutely.
after it, and the offense did step up. But
Yeah,
there's no way they're in it if it isn't the fumbles and it isn't the drop fourth downs and all those other plays too. So I feel like it's a hard question to ask.
yeah. And then, like Dan Campbell said too, it's going to be tougher going forward now because they're not as big as Fries anymore, and the Lions kind of reminded. I mean, not to the same extent, but the Lions reminded me of that Bengals team that made the Super Bowl against the Rams,
Yeah.
where they probably shouldn't have been there, or I mean, not that they shouldn't have been there. They weren't expected to be there, and
Yeah.
then the Lions, even though everyone kind of knew they were going to be good, I don't think anybody thought they were going that far,
Wasn't
especially
that
with the
Bengals
chance to
team?
get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Wasn't that Bengals team too the team that came back like 21-3 against Mahomes? Was that year in the playoffs?
I'm
I
not
think
too
Burrow, he
sure.
was
I
down
don't
like
remember.
21-3 in Arrowhead and ended up coming back and beating the Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It's man, we need to see a healthy Burrow to be honest again too in the
Well,
AFC
yeah, yeah, yep, I agree. But
because
that'll
that's got
also
to
be another episode because we can go on about is Higgins coming back. Or, that's another rabbit hole. So
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I agree with you though on all those points. To be honest, I feel like Baltimore did have a collapse. That was something that just to put up 14 points and you're
uh,
the MVP
I mean,
Lamar Jackson,
yeah.
or was it 10? Was it 10 or 14?
I'm not sure.
I think it was
Uh,
10, 17, 10. I can't remember now.
I'm not
Either
sure.
way, he did not put up over 17 points, and you're the MVP.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other year that he won MVP, or the other year that Lamar collapsed in the playoffs was when he lost to the Titans.
Oh man, that game was rough. That
Yeah.
was a rough
So
game.
I think Lamar is going to have a tough playoff
Mhm.
road, ahead of him, unless he,
Yeah.
mentally figures out. And also, I'm a Cowboys fan, so it's not like I can. I mean, Dak and Romo going through all those. So it's not like I can say much, but Lamar is one loss away from having the same exact record as
Yeah.
Romo and Dak in the playoffs.
Wow.
So that's shocking. It's also shocking how young he is, and he's almost at the same exact record, Raymond. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and well, I think one thing though too is like to me it's more shocking for Lamar in a way just because you have John Harbaugh as your coach and you have the Baltimore Ravens who are like an established organization that know what they're doing. And so to me, like, and I'm not saying the Cowboys don't know what they're doing, but John Harbaugh versus Mike McCarthy, you look at
who are
those
you
two, for
taking?
example,
Yeah, yeah. Come
that
on.
is that is a
Yeah.
huge difference in a heartbeat, a head coach, and even like culture in that locker room. So for me, it's more shocking for him than Dak, in my opinion. But
I I'm a Cowboys fan, so I'll be biased, but of course, I 100% agree. I mean, that coaching staff, that roster, I mean, that defense, and then it's not
Mhm.
like the offensive side of the ball was lacking anything. They had Mark Andrews back too, whether he was fully healthy or not. Uh,
Honestly, whether it
that
was good to bring him back or not, because Likely was playing good, so
likely
that
was
could have looked
playing.
questionable too,
Yeah, likely was playing good. He's definitely not good enough to be open uh, against triple coverage.
and call
Uh,
for it.
so yeah, and call for it. But also Lamar, I don't know why he threw that.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that was a huge playoff collapse. That it shouldn't have even been a question. The Ravens should have been in the Super Bowl.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And I think honestly, we'll wrap this up. I know we're going off track probably a little
going
bit
off
now,
track now.
but I
Don't
feel
say
like when
that.
you look at the
Sure.
49ers and Chiefs at the end of this year, there's two things that stick out to me. Brock Purdy is better than expected, in my opinion. He's better than I thought he'd be, and he's going to be on the 49ers for a long, long time, and he's going to be their starter. And then Patrick Mahomes is head and above every other quarterback, in my opinion. And I just, because like you said, for him to bring this team to the Super Bowl, just crazy. No one thought that. No one thought that.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Tyler?
That's it.
All right. Hey, thank you all for listening to us. We appreciate you. We'll be having another episode soon.